So what's happening? What's good, my guys? It's your boy Queso, and I am back with another video, another sample breakdown. So yeah, before I get into the video, definitely suggest you guys should subscribe. If you haven't checked my video out before, where I broke down another sample of mine out of my sample pack, go check that out. Link will be in the description for the sounds. Link will also be in the description down below. Check out my social. Check out my editor social, the guy who makes my cover art. Shout out to him, Flo. Yeah, the cover art in my videos, really talented guy. But yeah, without any further ado, I'll just get right into the breakdown. For this video, I have a sample that I made with free VSTs. So these VSTs, they're all absolutely free, from sound selection to mixing, and so the sample, it's 176 BPM, and I used VSTs that I found over the years, that I added into my sound selection and have been part of my sound selection ever since. And I pretty much use them also as frequently as VSTs and contact libraries that I've paid for. So these are really good. I just didn't download them just for the video, for the sake of the video. No, these are actually like VSTs and sounds that I've used over the years and are really good. And I haven't really seen anybody else really like using a tutorial or video, so that's why I brought up these sounds. And yeah, I made this sample right off the bat with these sounds. This is what the sample sounds like. It's this exotic sample. It's Asian flavor, at 176 BPM. This is what it sounds like. So pretty crazy. There are a couple different instruments in there, so like a couple strings, a bell, a flute. So I'll just get right into it. I started off with this string. It's called a pipa. It's a Chinese lute. It sounds like this. Which is the main melody of the loop. The sound that I use, actually, the VST, it's from, I think it's, Kong Audio. So yeah, Kong Audio, they make really good sounds, especially if you're into exotic Asian sounds, that Pyrex type stuff, the stuff that you hear in my loops. So these are really good. They actually have VSTs and sounds that are actually not free. Oh yeah, and disclaimer, this is not sponsored content or anything. I'm not getting sponsored or anything. So this is just from the bottom of my heart, like, preference, I guess. Just sounds that I think sound good, and that's why I'm mentioning them in the video. And it's not because it's because of sponsorship. But anyway, so Kong Audio, they're really good. They have VSTs that of course cost money, but then they also have a bunch of them. You'll be hearing from them in this video again. This is one of them, some free VSTs, some freebies. If you go check out the website, you'll find a couple. So this is the pipa. It's the Chinese lute, and this, when you install it, it's just for the pipa, and it contains, I don't know, what's this, like 20 presets and like different articulations and key switches. So for a free VST, it sounds pretty like realistic and exotic. And I think I used the fourth preset, and I made this broken chord melody. I just clicked in the notes. I always go by ear. I just clicked it in, and this is pretty much just broken chords. It's like a D minor chord, but like I broke it down so it's like more rhythmic and like more like a melody instead of like a chord progression. And then I just mess with the velocities to make it realistic. Then I switch it up to this A minor. Then I also added this G down here, to just give it a minor switch up. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the main melody for the first one. Then I added a second instance, so it's the same sound again, Chinese pipa, and I added this like lead on top. This is what it sounds like. So to give it a bit more bounce and feel, like just use some higher notes to fill out the space of the sound. Then I added this flute, which is also sounds like this. Wait. So this flute also, it's also from Kong Audio again. So it's Kong Audio Chinese Winds. It's a Diza, one of my favorite flutes. It's also yeah, Chinese instruments. So definitely grab that as well. It's also completely free and it actually comes with way more presets. No, not way more. Well, 10. Still some pretty good articulations. You have trills. You have a bass flute. Tenor flute. Pretty pretty versatile for like a free VC, and it sounds good. And this is the MIDI that I came up with. So all I did is I just clicked notes in that were matching my previous melody, my main melody, and the bounce is just simple. It's just from a half step, full step, and then I have these notes playing at legato, and actually have these notes overlapping, which isn't really common characteristic of like a flute, but with this preset it sounds really good. And this is actually almost like a chord here. Got to be careful with flutes, you don't really do that. But yeah, you can have like a sort of say a tenor flute playing with a bass flute, or a soprano flute playing with a bass flute, because the frequencies won't clash. So basically there can be notes on top of each other. So that's what I came up with for the flute. And then another free sound, which is actually from DSK. If you all know DSK, this is just simple, pretty simple, VST, if you want to even call it a VST. But it's like a music box. It's a bell, so to say, and it sounds like this. This is the pattern. So, and for the pattern, it's nothing too crazy. It just follows the bass notes with D and A, and then at the last part it also follows that G, and then I have a descend, as I talked about in some of my breakdowns. You can really create movement and like this like a catchy pattern by having like breakdowns like on the last, sort of say, bar or last beat, and then when you like loop repeats, it kind of creates this like catchy like breakdown in your sound, in your melodies. So that's what I do. I just have this descending breakdown, which then leads into the downbeat, into the repeat of a loop. But yeah, that's that for the bell. And then the last sound is an erhu. An erhu, this is what it sounds like. So an erhu, this one also I believe, yeah, from Chinese, from Kong Audio, I believe. I'm not quite sure, but I believe, yeah, I think it's from Kong Audio as well. An erhu is nothing but like an Asian fiddle, an Asian violin, if you want to call it that. This one also pretty dope sound. It comes with, what's that, 7 presets. So I think I just left on the first one, tremolo one, and I just followed the bass line pretty much with D. Then I added an E here instead of an A, then went up to F, and I have it go down from F to E again. That's pretty simple. And that's pretty much it for the sounds, for the MIDI. What I then did, I went into mixing, and for the first sound, I just added free effect plugins as well. Just your standard reverb, your FL reverb, an EQ to boost some frequencies, some mids, some of the high mids, and take out some of the really highs here. Then I added a chorus, but didn't want to have it to be too prominent, so I took it down like by 3/4. Then I added a stereo shaper again. If you've watched my last videos, I use stereo shapers to add like width and like more, just more space to my samples. So I did that with the string. Then for the flute, I just add an EQ with like almost all my flutes. If I'm playing them by myself, my own flute, or whether I'm using VCs or whatever, or phrases, I'll always just use a basic EQ and a reverb. In this case, I just use parametric EQ. Turn down some of the highs of it because it was just too overbearing. Cut out the lows. Just add a regular fruity reverb, and it's good to go. And then for the music box, for the bell, I just also added a reverb, and then also just a basic EQ. Took out some of the highs because it was just too sharp of a sound. And then for the erhu, for the fiddle, I also added a reverb again, and then just a regular EQ. Also take out some of the highs because the sound, they're not to say cheap, but some of them, like the mixing is a bit, it's a bit harsh. So some of the sounds, the high frequencies are really like just too overbearing. So I had to cut down some of the highs. If you're just wondering why I cut out so many of the highs, but yeah, that's pretty much it. What I then do, if you're already familiar with my process, I laid it out pretty much so that I have the sounds come in and then some sounds come out, gradually as my sample progresses. So there's, different passages where, your beat maker can cut out like the parts that he prefers where, some sounds aren't in place. This is what I recommend doing. If you, have your own unique process, be yourself, be unique. I always recommend, having your own process. This is mine, just way more leverage, for your beat maker to, use this for like a song. But yeah, I just lay it out and then I add a texture. I added this texture underneath from my one-shot kit. Okay, so basically, it's not really free, but it's my own one-shot kit, so I just added in the sound. If you want to call it cheating, call it cheating. But I just added this texture out of my kit. This is what it sounds like. But I took the volume way down so it wouldn't be too prominent. And then I pretty much ended up, with the sample. All I did then is for mastering, I added a sound gradizer to make it more spacious. Or more, to add warmth and to have it be a bit more thick, and a stereo shaper to be a bit more spacious. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this one. I hope you like this one. I hope you learned something along the way. Definitely go check out the sounds. The sounds are pretty good. They're way more free VSTs than that. I'll probably will make, another one of these, for like exotic samples, orchestra ones as well, and like Spanish guitar stuff for like free VSTs. So if you definitely want to see that, definitely drop a like, comment, share this video, and definitely subscribe to keep the channel going. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.